Good morning. Welcome to Unity Center of Pittsburgh. My name is Maryann Hackworth. I'm the service leader this morning, and I'm here with Mac Inglis, who is our technical director. So glad to have him on board. And this morning we have musical performances, which are going to be from Marika Reed and Anton DeFade. And our speaker today is going to be Steve Treu, and he's going to be speaking to us about the Agape vaccine. So I'd like to bring Marika and Anton with us now for our opening song, Holy, Holy, Holy. So I'd like to explain a Unity Center of Pittsburgh, who we are and what we are all about. As you know, we are a spiritual group founded in the mid to late 1800s by Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, who discovered the divine truth that exists in all of us, that we are actually the outward expressions, physical expressions of the divine power, the one presence that is God, that we refer to as God. And this power lives within each of us in our consciousness. It is the power with which we can direct our life experience, the power through which we create, which is through thoughts and through our words, which then lead to our actions. It is so profound that we discover this truth in our own hearts and our own minds. And the more frequently that we align with that truth, the more that we come forth through joy. The more that our world around us, our own individual world and the collective world grows and expands through awareness and through love. And I know that currently we're going through major upheaval in our collective world. We're seeing around us much suffering, and we're seeing fear, which surrounds. But under the fear is an overlay of habit of thought. And under that fear lies the beauty inside of each and every one of us. Each of us has this power to bring forth more love. And I would like to open this morning, as Mac is working on getting the music brought in from Mariko and Anton, but I'd like to bring forth our love through prayer. And I would ask you to join with me right now and to just close your eyes for a moment and allow the presence to come forth in you more fully. And just feel that presence and that power of love. As we pray together, Divine Creator, we place our concerns in your hands. We place our prayer into your heart, into this infinite mind, into this divine intelligence which lives in all the minds of all humanity. We ask for assistance now to awaken more fully to this divine intelligence. And for those who have been walking in the illusion of separation, for those who have been living in that illusion of fear, which has led to great hatreds and great doubt and uncertainty. We ask that divine mind, that you will inspire all of us to awaken more fully, to know our own oneness. For when we know our own divinity and our own oneness, when we recognize that love is all there is, and it is the creative power, when we know this fully, then we will treat one another with love and honor one another with respect. And there will be justice for all, for we will all be walking together, hand in hand, brothers and sisters. So I believe that now we are going to be going to, not America. I wasn't sure. So I'd like to go forth and let us review the vision and the mission. In 2019, one of our great joys and accomplishments was coming together as a spiritual family. And what we did was we developed a vision and a mission statement. So I'd like to share those with you now. We envision a spiritually awakened world flowing with divine love. Yes, Creator, we do envision this, a spiritually awakened world flowing with divine love. And we know that it is with the power of this divine love and divine mind that we can accomplish this vision. And our mission here at Unity is that we are an inclusive, loving community dedicated to teach, to inspire, and to practice daily positive spiritual living. That is what we're all about. That is what you and I are doing in our homes and in our families, in our work. We are practicing positive spiritual living, and we are facing adversity and times of struggle and sadness with this practice. So the opening prayer, as I began it earlier, let us align our minds with the divine mind and let us pray. Divine Creator, we know that your power and your presence exists within the heart of every single human being, past and present, and especially those now walking on this earth plane. And we ask you to infuse us with your love, your Agape vaccine. And we ask that our hearts are open to this true love, this unconditional love, and that we extend our arms and wrap humanity right now through this time of upheaval. We wrap our love around one another. We support each other. And we know that with your power, Spirit, all things are possible. And so it is. Each Sunday, we have a practice here at Unity. This practice reminds us of the one power and presence. We call this candle here the Christ candle because it represents to us the Christ consciousness, is that knowing that exists within you and within me. And if perhaps you have a candle in your home that you like to light at times, from time to time, maybe just as a reminder to yourself that you are this one light, you are this one power, and you have the power within yourself, and I have the power within myself to shift my consciousness. In every moment, we have that power, whether we drop into the illusion of separation, or whether we align with this one power. So I'd like to light this candle right now, and then let's read our unity principles together afterward. Such a simple practice And yet it is so powerful just to, even in meditation, just to gaze into the light of a candle and remember the light that is in our own hearts and minds. And it is fully illuminated through this one power, one presence. So these are the unity principles which are being read today in unity churches and centers all over the planet. God is the source and creator of all. There is no other enduring power. God is good and present everywhere. We are spiritual beings created in God's image. The Spirit of God lives within each person. Therefore, all people are inherently good. Let's say that one more time. All people are inherently good. We create our life experiences through our way of thinking. Through prayer and meditation, we increase our conscious contact with God, bringing forth love, wisdom, health, prosperity, and everything good. Knowledge of these spiritual principles is not enough, for we must live them, and so we do. We have a practice of using affirmations, and this originated back with Myrtle Fillmore when she overcame a terminal diagnosis of tuberculosis. She was able to align her mind to release negative thoughts, negative habits of mind that she had held for decades. She was able to use the power of affirmative prayer. That is really what prayer is. Every thought is a prayer. And so when we use affirmative language that allows us to align with this power, and we use this language to affirm our health, our prosperity, our goodness, our joy, our relationships. We use affirmative prayer to draw into our experience through the power of word, for that is what affirmations do. They change our vibrational energy. And so the words that we exude outward are vibration, and they draw unto us more of same. Here at Unity, we refer to that as the law of mind action, the law of attraction. So have you noticed that when you use powerful words of joy, powerful words of strength, words of health, when you use those words and when that language becomes so infused in your energy space, you feel better. So let us read aloud this affirmation 3 times with enthusiasm and with total belief. Celebrating unexpected blessings, I live well today. Celebrating unexpected blessings, I live well today. Celebrating unexpected blessings, I live well today. Things are happening sometimes around you and I that are unexpected. And that is when we decide. We are at choice points every moment of every day. And we say, this unexpected turn of events, is it a blessing or not? The fact that we're having a challenge bringing our flow of music is unexpected. 20 minutes ago, we heard the music here in the sanctuary. Now Mac is working to get it back for us. I don't know if all of you realize the complexity of bringing forth a live stream. It matters not. It is unexpected, and we're at a choice point, and that choice point allows me to say, I'm going to bring forth my authentic being to you, and you are authentically witnessing me as I serve Unity Center of Pittsburgh in the best capacity that I possibly can. So when your life takes an unexpected turn of events, know that you're at a choice point. I mean, they happen all the time. And we can say, what am I to see and what am I to learn through this? How may I respond? Am I going to kick and push back and resist and throw a fit mentally and be upset? And if so, for how long? How long may I stay in that space or that energy versus opening to a broader energy, a deeper energy, a more loving nature that is my true nature? And that loving nature is what is guiding us right now, friends, brothers and sisters in the world. That's what's pressing forth. And we can throw resistance into what is happening because it is so disturbing to witness violence, to witness death, and to witness dis-ease. But let us align our minds with a knowing that there is in some way, some masterful way, there is a divine plan, there is a divine order that is unfolding through this. And through this collective suffering that we're going through now, we are being called, all of us are being called as individuals to awaken more fully and to allow the Spirit to heal the centuries of suffering, the centuries of bigotry, the centuries that have been habitually passed from generation to generation. The time is now for all of that to be cleared, and a new path is unfolding. You can sense this, you can feel it, and you notice it in the responses that you read and the articles that you're reading. Align your mind with that. Allow that light to illuminate you by what you read and by what you say and by what you pray. And I do this every morning and in the evenings when we go on and we perhaps we go to Facebook or we have social media that we follow. Let us align ourselves with the power to heal this. And let us send forth our affirmative prayer to one another. That is my prayer. So I would like to now go forth into the daily word. And this is a very powerful little booklet, which is always available to us online, or we can get a copy in paper as well from the Silent Unity organization. And today's word for May 31st, 2020 is love. I am a loving presence to everyone I meet. That's the affirmation. I am a loving presence to everyone I meet. It has been said that the world needs more love. The truth is that all the love the world could ever need is already present everywhere because God is love and God is present everywhere. Created in God's image, I am divine love in human expression. You are divine love in human expression. I know that love is much more than a positive feeling. Divine love is the energy of oneness itself. As I remain centered in divine love, I know oneness in God with all people, including those who are dear to me and those I've never met. Divine love helps me see good everywhere and in everyone. Divine love helps me see good everywhere and in everyone. I look beyond conflict and limitation, and I find the good that is always mine to discover. I affirm the good that is always ours to discover. and from John 4:7, who said, "Beloved, let us love one another, because love is from God. Everyone who loves is born of God and knows God." And so it is. At this time in our service, we bless our children. We bless the children that are right now at home with you, the children in your families, and the children in your extended friendships, children that you know personally. We extend a loving blessing to these children, and we extend a blessing to the children of the world. For we know, children, that you demonstrate to us the most powerful practice, which is living in the present moment. Children exude a joy because they are present. They feel this power in the moment, and they rarely go future or past because the moment is the power for them. They bring that lesson. Children bring that lesson of the present moment to us. So let us bless them for this teaching that they bring, and let us be children in that we can look at ourselves in the mirror each day and love ourselves and be present with ourselves. We thank you and we bless you, children. We uplift you through this time if you're going through upheaval in your life. We bless you. We send you our love. So it is. It is time for our congregational greeting. Typically here at Unity, in the past, we've always wrapped our arms around one another or shook hands and perhaps bowed, saying namaste. The God energy in me knows the God energy in you and greets it. And so this time, we can use our chat box. If you have one on your screen, you can chat in and greet each other. And if you do not have a chat box, we greet each other heart to heart right now. I am greeting you, and thank you for greeting me. Thank you for your presence here at this live stream service. We are going to go to our next segment, which is prayer requests. As you know, the power of prayer is Unity Foundation. So there may be something right now in your personal life that is in need of prayer. And as you bring this situation or individual into your consciousness, into your mind's eye, allow them to enter the space where we are collectively joined, where our energy meets as oneness. And we extend healing right now to all the situations in our personal lives. Anyone in need of upliftment, I ask you to bring them into your third eye and see them filled with a radiant light, and see their health restored. See their ability to serve through their work and through their relationships. Let us see relationships restored. Let us see unconditional love being shared right now from our consciousness into the consciousness of those in Minneapolis. Let us align our minds with those who are filled with rage. And let us extend those words from John, as we said, true love is knowing oneness and unconditional love of the Creator. So let us send this loving power so that those whose hearts have been hardened may feel the light within them, that some word and some action will awaken them, and there will be a shift in those right now who are filled with hatred. For hatred is a layer of illusion, a layer of fear, and that fear is due to the illusion of separation. And oneness is the healing power, because we are not separate from Source. And that is our prayer this morning, to know our power of oneness. So I would say that this time we have just a few minutes of meditation before Steve Treu will be coming forth with his message. But let us calmly align our minds wherever you may be. I hope that you have the opportunity to breathe in peacefully and breathe out and release any tension, and fully embrace the space where you are now. And go within your body. You may open your hands to receive, placing your feet on the floor to ground into Mother Earth, into Spirit. As you breathe in, draw it into your consciousness. And see the light grow. The light of love. The light of love illuminating you now. Affirm for yourself, I am the light. I am the light of love. I allow this to grow within me. And allow that light, that sparkling energy, to fill every cell of your body. You are this energy of love. Feel this love in your hands, your fingertips, and breathe in. And allow it to move through you. Welcome it. Light of love is your true nature. You are restored to peace. As you breathe in and out, feeling peace and restoration, transformation. Affirming this as you open your eyes again in your space. may notice from this feeling that your space is light. And looking around you, you feel a very aware presence in your mind. You connect to this one power of love. So I would like us to move into our next segment, which is coming forth. I'm pretty excited because our speaker today started coming, I guess, last year, was it? And began speaking at Unity maybe two or three times in a year. And we really welcome his insights because they are such in alignment with Unity principles. So I'd like to introduce him. His name is Steve Treu. And Steve is an applied quantum philosopher. He's a licensed professional counselor, and he is the Chief Visionary Officer for Quantum Revolution Incorporated. Quantum Revolution Incorporated. This is where he assists people in exploring their infinite possibilities, and he allows people to improve their lives through mind, body, and spirit techniques. So combining mind, body, and spirit through quantum philosophies. So he always brings such unique insights to the world and what's happening around us. And I am looking forward this morning to hearing from Steve. His message is entitled, The Agape Vaccine. So I would like to introduce Steve Treu, and he's going to be coming through Skype this morning. And in about a minute, we're good to go. Welcome, Steve.
Good morning, everybody. First of all, hi to my wife, Kristen, at home. Make sure you get Aiden up for baseball. In our family, we're very excited to open up again because we get baseball back. So hopefully you all have joys like that going on in your lives as well as we get back to some real life. Wherever you're at, hopefully you're safe and sound. Obviously, these are very distressing times throughout the world. And so I wish that you're all safe and healthy at home. We're going to talk about a lot of that today and how we can actually be proactive in this. You know, we're not just sitting passive observers on the sideline. And all of this social distancing stuff over the last couple months has reminded me of my favorite quantum concept, which you know, I really think it's a concept that needs to be taught in first grade. It's been around for 100 years now. Einstein and friends proved 100 years ago that energy is connected throughout the universe from, you know, massive distance apart, and it's instantaneous. Entanglement has demonstrated that physical beings don't need to be in close proximity with each other to actually be connected. So right now, I'm not in the room with anybody, but wherever you're at, I'm connected to you and you're connected to me. It's the way to see oneness, to truly understand it's not just a philosophy, and it works, of course, spiritually because it's true, but it's also scientifically true. Particles can be separated by a couple inches and send instantaneous messages back and forth. Or, as it was in 2018, they looked at light from galaxies 7 billion light years away, and they looked at entangled light, and they were able to determine that particles from 7 billion light years ago were able to influence each other instantaneously. Okay, that has told them that this entanglement thing is a fact. Okay, and so when we talk about what applied quantum philosophy is, it's taking a concept like entanglement and making it useful and practical for us in our lives. Now, what it really means is even though there's no physical connection between us, there's always an energetic connection. It's an instantaneous effect. And it brings to mind two quotes that I think are very pertinent, especially in these times. First of all, Albert Einstein called this spooky action at a distance. It's a spooky thing because he couldn't quite understand how it was working. How could one particle on this side of the universe affect a particle on this side of the universe instantaneously? Usually you'd expect some sort of transmission, physical, some sort of like a phone call or some sort of connection that we would be able to connect, but it happens instantaneously. Well, that makes me think of 1 Corinthians 2:7, in which Paul says that we speak of the wisdom of God in a hidden mystery. See, this world has hidden mysteries all over it, and just one of them is entanglement. It's not something that we see. It's not something that we practice on a regular basis. We're not really aware of it. That's why I think we should teach it in first grade. We are not just passive observers sitting at home watching this chaos going on. We're actually participating in it. The way you watch the TV and the way you watch the news and the way you interact with people in the chaos of what's going on actually matters because of entanglement. And this is a mystery. It brings to mind about my favorite mystery of Scripture, Romans 8:28, that all things work together for good for those who love God. Now, that's a shocking mystery considering all the chaos that's going on and all the chaos that's gone on for thousands of years. All things are working together for good for those who love God. That's an important phrase, because if you love God and you love love and you love oneness and all of that, then whatever's happening has to be working together for good. And there's no, exclusions in here that all things work together for good except for that war or for that election or for that virus. It's all things. And it's our job to experience that in a way that feels like love. Now, the good news is God gives us hints all over the place. I like to call them breadcrumbs. He leads us on. He can give us hints of this. And to me, this is really what the coronavirus has been about in many ways. Now, of course, we all know how the coronavirus works. It is something that we can't see, and it spreads from person to person. There is no need for physical contact. It could creep up out of nowhere. It's basically a silent invader. You don't really know where it is, and that's fairly scary in many different ways. And the virus, of course, has caused chaos and suffering throughout the world. Thanks to community spread, it can happen anywhere at any time, and we don't know where the source is coming from. Again, it's a secret invader. Now, this is a breadcrumb. This is a sign of how the world works, but there's been a much, much worse virus going on for thousands of years. I call it an STD, a spiritually transmitted disease, and it is fear. For thousands of years, as bad as the COVID-19, death toll has been, millions and millions of people have died over the last several thousand years through, wars and genocide and, murder and, all sorts of abuses. It's all stemming from fear. It's an inner virus. It's a spiritual virus, ultimately. It's when we get affected energetically by other people and we transmit that energy ourselves. So the actual definition of fear is it's an unpleasant emotion caused by a belief that someone or something is dangerous or a threat. Now that's key because it's a belief. It's a mind virus. And we have fear because we think things are threats and we think things are dangerous. And this leads to what I say, it's many minions. Fear, which is basically the overlord of negative energy, leads to resentment and hate and shame and guilt, doubt, jealousy, anxiety, depression. And, we've all felt all of that. It's got many variations. And thanks to entanglement, we can feel that from each other. You can feel that vibe coming from the world. You don't just have to be in the front lines. If you're in a hospital working in the front lines with this, you can sense it. You can feel it. You can see the chaos, but you can also feel the energy. But just go turn on the TV and watch the news, and you can feel the tension going on throughout the world. You can really feel the mood of the world. This is what community spread is as well. We can share this vibe with each other. When we're complaining and when we're being fearful, we can pick up that vibe. You pick it up from the TV. We pick it up on social media. I believe before we get on Facebook, we should all put on a mask, right? Because viruses are coming. As soon as you turn that on and you start reading some of that information, you're vulnerable to some viruses. And we spread this fear all the time throughout the world, and we're not really paying attention to it. Entanglement sees that happens instantaneously. Events that happen in Minneapolis can affect you instantaneously here. You can feel that energy. Now, the good news is that entanglement isn't just limited to fear. None of us are helpless. We can all affect the world. As Gandhi says, be the change you want to see in the world. Can we make a difference? Do you have to be in the front lines? No. You can make a difference just by sitting at home watching the TV, watching news unfold. Let's look at the virus again. How do you get a vaccine for a virus? Well, within the virus itself is the antidote. They get the vaccine by looking at the virus, breaking it down in complex ways, and creating the antidote. The problem itself contains the cure. Well, the same thing is true with fear. Fear leads to suffering. Fear leads to all those negative emotions. None of us find those negative emotions pleasant. But inside the fear itself promotes growth because that pain leads to change. None of us like that feeling. None of us like the anxiety and the depression and the shame and the guilt. All of that negative energy is promoting growth. The antidote itself is inside the fear. This is some of what Romans 8:28 is about. All things work together for good for those who love God. Our negative emotions are actually teaching us what in Kabbalah they call the opposite side of God, right? It's still God, but it's a God on a lower vibrational state. And what we have to do is raise that vibration. It's the pain that causes the change. These negative emotions are intolerable. We don't like them, but we must learn how to counteract them through positive emotions. And ultimately, the opposite of love, the opposite of fear, which is love. That's the antidote. When Jesus took on the sins of the world, he did it through Christ consciousness. Basically, he was an alchemist. He took the energy of the world, then and now, he took it and he was able to transmute it into a higher energy. He took on all our fear and he gave back love. I was reading in an article in a New York newspaper recently talking about how difficult, how tricky it is to love your enemy. And the question was asked, how can I love a hater? How do I love a racist? How do I love a child abuser, a murderer, or a school shooter? And I think the answer must be looked at by what does it mean by love? You consider there's many different types of love. The Greeks used to describe at least 4 different types of love. We have eros, which is romantic love, and storge, which is the love of family, philia, which is love of friends. And all of that can be thought of as a lower level love. It's a lower vibrational type of love. Most of those, or most all of that, is a physical type of love. It involves physical things. It involves bodies and behaviors, many times possessive. I love the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I don't love them when they lose the Super Bowl, for example. It's conditional. We love our family and friends until they maybe stab us in the back, right? We love circumstances until they don't go our way. And so those types of love, really fairly judgmental, conditional types of love. Now, on a higher level, the antidote to fear is agape. That's the highest level of love. This is the love that we're supposed to have for everyone and everything. It's unconditional love. It's the golden rule, love your neighbor as yourself. The challenge with agape is we see all this physical stuff and we think we need to love, but somehow we're supposed to love the chaos that's going on in Minneapolis and throughout the world with all the protests and the violence. We're supposed to love that. We're supposed to love the coronavirus. And we're supposed to love the death that's happening, right? And all the economic destruction and all of the pain and suffering. We're supposed to love that. Well, we're not going to love that from a lower level. We're not going to love that from eros and storge and philia. We must love that from the highest level. And that's what agape is. But the key to agape is to not look at the physical world and think of it as
We will be right back with you, Steve, in about 2 minutes. We just need to get reconnected, having some internet challenges.
Yes. Does anybody know where I was when I was last heard? Gotcha. Yeah, I'm good. I'll pick it up from there. All right. Am I back? Okay, very good. I believe where we're at, we were talking about how Jesus did this, how Jesus took on the energy of the world. He took on the fear. He took on the vibration, and he was able to transmute it. He gave back love. It reminds me of an article I read in the New York newspaper recently, which talked about loving your enemy and how hard that is. How do you love one's enemy? It says it can be tricky. How do you love someone who's a hater? How do you love a racist? How do you love a child abuser or a murderer or a school shooter? Well, I think the answer is simple if you look at different types of love. We're so used to looking at love physically. The Greeks used to refer to several different types of love. There's eros, which is romantic love. There's storge, which is love of family. There's philia, which is love of friends. And all these types of love are physical based, largely conditional. I mean, I love the Pittsburgh Steelers, but not when they lose to the New England Patriots. Or, I might love a family member or a friend, but if they stab me in the back, that's pretty hard to do. We look at things physically, and that type of love is pretty conditional. It's really a lower level type of love. Now, the antidote for fear is the highest type of love, and that's what agape is. Agape is loving all things and everything from the level of Romans 8:28. All things working together for good. That's the type of love that agape is. Now, the key to that is to see each other as we actually are. We have to see each other as the spiritual beings we are. We have to see the light in each other. The Course in Miracles says that's the only way you can help each other is to only see the light in each other. When we turn on the evening news and we see all the chaos and we see all the darkness, and that's what we see and that's what we feel, we just got affected by that field of energy, and we then are sending that energy back out. The key to find agape is to keep it to a higher vibrational level, to keep it to the type of love that sees all things as working together for good somehow. Just like I said with the negative emotions, how anxiety and depression and shame and guilt and all of that negativity that we feel is promoting growth. When we look at the chaos in the world, that chaos that we're seeing is promoting growth inside us. I don't like it when I see that stuff on the news. I don't like it when I see loved ones suffer. I don't like it when I suffer. But when that raises my focus, when it raises consciousness to the level of agape, and we practice and we learn how to love as Jesus loved, that's Christ consciousness, and that is agape. It's fairly simple as a therapist to see. The expression hurt people is a cliche, but it's so true. It really should be a Bible verse. People don't feel good when they're hurting people. And whether it's, the violence that we've seen or the protests and the people that are hurting each other throughout the world, you can tell that a person is not filled with the light when they're doing that type of behavior. It doesn't do us any good to hate back. We're well aware that hating the hater doesn't work. The only way to do it is the antidote is to do it with love. Now, that means when you're watching TV, you're involved. You are watching the evening news and you're having a conversation in your head about what you're seeing. When you hate or resent, both you and the enemy that you're seeing are drained via entanglement. The energy that connects you to them is a field of vibration that is going to bring both sides down. But when you love, both sides are filled with spirit. See, we are vessels of light. Jesus says if your eye is single, your whole body will be filled with light. And in Matthew 5:48, he says, be perfect. We're supposed to be working on perfecting these bodies by getting it filled with light. We do not get filled with light when we look at others with judgment, when we look at others with resentment, when we look at the world with fear. That drains us. We lose some of our light. The challenge is to look at each other, stay connected to that which is the spirit, send the love and the vibration out. We then stay filled, and that helps fill the other. Now, this does not mean that you do not take action. Jesus was no pacifist. He was a pacifist when he needed to, but he was fairly assertive when he needed to as well. We all know flipping over tables and calling people hypocrites. And perhaps my favorite line ever, when Peter was a hindrance to him, when Peter was trying to talk him out of getting crucified, Jesus called him a hindrance and he called him Satan. Get behind me, Satan. He didn't hug him. Jesus didn't give him a big hug right there. He told him off because he said, you were focused on the affairs of man, where I'm focused on the affairs of God. That's agape, the affairs of God. When we look out at the world and we see the physical world and we see the fear in it, we're focused on the affairs of man. Agape keeps us connected to the affairs of God. And that's sending light and love to everybody, no matter what they're doing. You still take action, but you can take action with love. You can seek justice with love. While you're seeking justice with love or seeking safety, you do it with love and not fear. Not only are you doing what's right physically, you are doing what's right spiritually. That's giving to Caesar that which is Caesar's, giving to God that which is God's. Jesus knew that we were not going to win by combating hate with more hate, and neither will we. That's why in Matthew 5:9 he says, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God. This is our great challenge, especially now. As a therapist, I work with myself and clients on this type of thing. And the best way to handle this is to enter into prayer and meditation and focus on all issues that concern you and think about the light inherent in each individual. Everybody does have the light of God in them. They might not know it. They might not be acting that way. But if we quiet our minds and we meditate and we think about the light in others and we send light to each other, this is namaste. This is honoring the light in each other. When we're watching TV, it's very important to remain calm, cool, and collected and send light and love. That's what we need to do. It is the metta prayer when Buddha says to wish others well, right? To send them the light. A rising tide lifts all boats. This is entanglement. If I'm sitting at home watching TV and I'm feeling depressed by the news, I'm being dragged down by it. But if I can see light and love and send it out, we can affect change that way. It still might inspire you to act. There's nothing wrong with acting. Just make sure you're behaving with love. You may protest with love. However you get inspired, do it with love. This is why Jesus in John 7:24 says, do not judge by mere appearances, judge correctly. Our job is to behave with love and spirit. Now, the clearest way to understand this is looking at the difference between being right and being righteous. If you're always thinking that you are right, you're overlooking alternative points of view. Righteousness has no alternative point of view. I like the way Galatians says it, but the fruit of the Spirit, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such things, there is no law. Being righteous is agape. It is spiritual love, and it gives you immunity from fear. Inside the fear itself comes this desire to seek and find this type of love. And it is the highest level of love. It is our job to be love and joy and peace and patient and kind and good and faithful. That's our job. How to be a peacemaker is to be that and not to pick sides in the flesh. That's Jesus saying you're focused on the affairs of man. It's our job to lead with the Spirit, let the Spirit guide us, let the Spirit control our behaviors, and that will be in accordance with God's will. If you are a Christian or a spiritual-minded being, this is our calling. Jesus' last words before he ascended from Acts 1:8. You will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes on you, and you will be my witnesses to the ends of the earth. This is our job. Let us all be witnesses and spread the agape love to the ends of the earth. Namaste.
Awesome, Steve. Thank you so much for that message. I loved it. I love the word entanglement. And I love that quantum physics knows and supports spiritual reality. And so we do bring our purposeful, willful way of loving into this moment. We acknowledge that and we do it from our hearts. We want to do this. When we witness it, we respond with love. And Jesus started that practice centuries ago. He took fear and gave back love. And we can do the same. Thank you very much, Steve. That was a great message. Really powerful for these times. We need it. So we have our announcements right now, and I think the biggest announcement that we have is that, according to information we've got, that this coming Friday is going to be green. So we're trying to figure out as a board, what does this mean for us? And our priority is safety. Safety for you, our members, for returning to this space, safety for our musicians, safety for our speakers, and for anyone who walks in this building. So what we're trying to come up with as a board is a plan of action, and figuring out the dimensions of our space and how we would arrange the furniture and where we would stand and how we would sit, and all of those pieces really have to come together. I don't know if that would be possible by next Friday or this Friday. I really don't. But the conversation is flowing. And so what I would ask, if you would like to chime in through sending out an email or calling a board member, however you would like to express how you feel. How is your feeling about returning and being safe in this environment once we have everything set up? And I think you can tell that bringing forth live streaming is very complicated, and it involves multiple steps. So we want to be present with one another. That's our desire, and our ultimate goal is to return into this space. But it's going to take some work. So I hope that you understand that and can be patient with us too as we develop a plan of action. The other thing is that our annual membership meeting is scheduled for June 21st. We have a letter that's going out this Monday. We put it together this weekend, and our plan was to have the membership meeting via the end of service, via this mode, via the YouTube. We were going to start it at the very end of our service, and myself being presiding over the meeting would be the only person and be explaining to you what we've accomplished this year, what our financial status is, and so on. So I think that was our method, that was our plan. So we will just talk about that today and this weekend with the rest of the board and make sure that's still the proper way to go. Because to have an annual membership meeting, we would have to, on the 21st, if we did it in the physical space, we would have to have everything ready here and now in this space. So there's just a lot of change, and we don't resist. We just have to move through it. We have to create new, and that is our spiritual practice. So in a practical way, that's what we do here at Unity. So I would like to point out to you what I just finally filled out today is my annual, my membership. It's just the application or the renewal. So every year, anyone who is a member of Unity or wants to join to become a member of Unity Center of Pittsburgh just needs to fill out this official piece of paper. That's all it is. It's just letting us know your name, your address, your email, how you want to be contacted. That's really it. And it allows you